This is a Fonzie Studio podcast. Welcome to Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and every week I'll share with you a tale and ancient wisdom of the native tribes of North America. I'll be joined by my cats, Dawa and Fonzie, who will undoubtedly make their presence known at some point, so I might as well just list them as co-hosts. We hope you'll enjoy the tales and wisdom, raise your vibration, and enrich your life with us every week. Welcome, friends. Welcome to the 39th episode of Tales from the First Nations. I'm your host, Jay Idle. Today I came across a really great story about the pine tree. And as you recall, I spotlighted the pine tree in episode 14 because I love pine trees. And since I already gave you a long list, a big taste of pine tree lore, I thought, hey, let's spotlight the other star of this story, the busy little beaver. Beavers often make appearances in Native American stories symbolizing industriousness, resourcefulness, and determination. Beavers are admired for their skill in building dams and creating habitats, which are seen as acts of harmony and collaborations with nature. In some Algonquin legends, the beaver is celebrated as a skilled builder and a wise animal that plays a role in shaping the landscape. Similarly, in tales of the Cree and other groups, the beaver is portrayed as a creature that teaches valuable lessons about the importance of hard work and cooperation. Now, growing up in Central Ohio, my first job was at a feed mill. Any of you who live in the Central Ohio area may remember the New Albany Mill before it was torn down. The last time I drove by, the building is still there, but now it's a beer brewery. So I feel like I'd have a lot more fun working there now than I did then. But it is what it is. Anyway, when I was working there, my bosses were a pair of brothers who instilled in me the importance of hard work. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean. That's what Randy would always say to me. So on days when businesses were slow, I might have swept and mopped that warehouse about 4 or 5 times. At any given moment, that floor was fit to eat off of. But it did instill the importance of hard work in me, even to this day. Today's episode features 2 stories. A story from the Haida people telling us the origin of the gnawing beaver, and the Nez Perce legend of how beavers stole fire from the pines. The Haida people are from the Pacific Northwest coast of North America. Their traditional territory is off the coast of British Columbia, Canada, and the southern half of Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska. So we'll begin with their tale of the origin of the gnawing beaver. There was a great hunter among the people living at Larweap on the Stikine River. Ever on the alert for new territories, he would go away by himself for long periods and return with quantities of furs and food. He had remained single, although he was very wealthy and his family begged him to take a wife. As a true hunter, he observed all the fasts of cleanliness and kept away from women. One day, when he returned from a hunting trip, he said, "I'm going to take a wife now. After that, I will move to a distant region where I hear the wild animals are plentiful." So he married a young woman from a neighboring village who, like himself, was clever and scrupulous in observing the rules. When the time came for them to go on their hunting trips, they both kept the fasts of purification, and the hunter got even more furs and food than he had before. Sometime later, he said to his wife, "Let's go to a new country where we'll have to stay for a long time." After many days of traveling, they came to a strange land. The hunter put up a hut where they lived while he built a house. When he had finished it, he and his wife were happy. They would play with each other every night. Soon, he said to her, "I'm going to my new hunting grounds for 2 days and a night. I will return just before the second night." In his new territory, he made snares in his trapline, and when these were set, he went home just before sunset on the second day. His wife was very happy, and they again played together all through the night. After several days, he visited the snares and found them full of game. He loaded his canoe and came back again before dark on the second day. Very happy, he met his wife, and they both worked to prepare the furs and meat. When they had finished, he set out once more, saying, "This time I intend to go in a new direction, so I will be away for 3 sleeps." And he did, and rejoiced in being with his wife again when he returned. To amuse herself while she was alone, the woman went down to the little stream flowing by the lodge. She spent most of her time bathing and swimming around in a small pool while her husband was away. As soon as he returned, she would play with him. "Now," he said, "since you've become used to being alone, I'm going on a longer trip." By then he had enlarged his hunting house, and it was full of furs and food. The woman again took to her swimming. Soon she found the little pool too small for her, so she built a dam by piling up branches and mud. The pool became a small lake, deep enough for her to swim in at ease. Now she spent nearly all her time in the new lake and felt quite happy. When her husband returned, she showed him the dam she had made, and he was pleased. Before going away once more, he said, "I'll be gone a long time, now that I know you're not afraid of being alone." The woman built a little house of mud and branches in the center of the lake. After a swim, she would go into it and rest. At night, she would return to the hunting house on land, but as soon as she waked in the morning, she would go down to the lake again. Eventually, she slept in her lake lodge all night, and when her husband came back, she felt uncomfortable staying with him in the house. Now she was pregnant and kept more to herself, and she preferred to stay in her lake lodge even when her husband was at home. To pass the time, she enlarged the lake by building the dam higher. She made another dam downstream, and then another, until she had a number of small lakes, all connected to the large one in which she had her lodge. The hunter went away on a last long journey. He had enough furs and food to make him very wealthy, and he planned that they would move back to his village after this trip. The woman, whose child was due any day, stayed in the water all the time and lived all together in the lodge. By now, it was partly submerged, and its entrance was underwater. When the hunter returned to his home, he could not find his wife. He looked all over, searching the woods day after day without discovering a trace of her. He was at a loss, unwilling to go back to his people without knowing her fate, for fear that her family might want to kill him. He returned sadly to his hunting house every night, and each morning resumed the search. One evening at dusk, he remembered that his wife had spent much of her time in the water. Perhaps she traveled on downstream, he thought. The next day, he walked down to the lake that his wife had dammed and went around it, but he saw nothing of her. After many days of searching, the hunter retraced his steps. When he came to the large lake, he sat down and began to sing a dirge. Now he knew that something had happened to his wife. She had been taken by a supernatural power. While he was singing and crying his dirge, a figure emerged from the lake. It was a strange animal, in its mouth a stick, which it was gnawing on. On each side of the animal were 2 smaller ones, also gnawing sticks. Then the largest figure, which wore a hat shaped like a gnawed stick, spoke, "Don't be sad. It is I, your wife, and your 2 children. We have returned to our home in the water. Now that you have seen me, you will use me as a crest. Call me the woman Beaver, and the crest, remnants of chewing stick. The children are first beaver, and you will refer to them in your dirges as the offspring of Beaver Woman." After she had spoken, she disappeared into the water, and the hunter saw her no more. At once he packed his goods, and when his canoe was filled, he traveled down the river to his village. For a long while he did not speak to his people. Then he told them what had happened and said, "I will take this as my personal crest. It shall be known as remnants of chewing stick, and forever remain the property of our clan, the Salmon Eater household. This is the origin of the beaver crest and the remnants of chewing stick." If only the man had spent a little more time with his wife, this might not have happened to him. It's important to spend time with the ones we love so they can feel our love and feel good about themselves. Although, through his error, the world was blessed with the beaver and all the wonderful things that it adds to our world. Beavers are often called ecosystem engineers because they have such a major impact on the environment. Through building their dams, which regulate water flow and reduce risk of floods, they improve water quality by slowing down water flow, which allows the sediment and pollutants to settle out of the water. They create ponds and wetlands to inhabit various species of fish, amphibians, birds, and plants. They prevent erosion, create fire breaks, and mitigate the effects of climate change by creating wetlands to store carbon. So perhaps we should be grateful that this hunter was a good hunter and not an ideal husband. Our next story comes from the Nez Perce people, also known as the Nimipu, which means we the people. Originally, they are from the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Their traditional territory spans parts of northeastern Oregon, southeastern Washington, and central Idaho. They've lived in this region for thousands of years and have a rich history of fishing, hunting, and trading. So today, we will hear their legend of how the beaver stole fire from the pines. Once, before there were any people in the world, the different animals and trees lived and moved about and talked together just like human beings. The pine trees had the secret of fire and guarded it jealously, so that no matter how cold it was, they alone could warm themselves. At length, an unusually cold winter came and all the animals were in danger of freezing to death, but all their attempts to discover the pine's secret were in vain, until Beaver at last hit upon a plan. At a certain place on the Grand Ronde River in Idaho, the pines were about to hold a great council. They had built a large fire to warm themselves after bathing in the icy water, and lookouts were posted to prevent intruders from stealing their fire secret. But Beaver had hidden under the bank near the fire before the lookouts had taken their places, and when a live coal rolled down the bank, he seized it, hid it in his breast, and ran away as fast as he could. The pines immediately raised a hue and cry and started after him. Whenever he was hard-pressed, Beaver darted from side to dodge his pursuers, and when he had a good start, he kept a straight course. The Grand Ronde River preserves the direction Beaver took in his run. That's why it's twisting in some parts and straight in others. After running for a long time, the pines grew tired, so most of them halted in a body on the riverbank, where they remain in great numbers to this day, forming a growth so dense that hunters can hardly get through. A few pines kept chasing Beaver, but they finally gave out, one after another, and they remained scattered in intervals along the banks of the river in the places where they stopped. There was one cedar that was running at the forefront of the pines, and although he despaired of capturing Beaver, he said to the few trees who were still on the chase, "We can't catch him, but I'll go to the top of the hill yonder and see how far ahead he is." So he ran to the top of the hill and saw Beaver just diving into Big Snake River, where the Grand Ronde enters it. Further pursuit was out of the question. The cedar stood and watched Beaver dart across Big Snake River and give fire to some willows on the opposite banks, and recross further on and give fire to the birches, and so on, until all of the trees had fire. Since then, all who have wanted fire have got it. These particular trees are very kind because they share them with the people, because they have the fire in them, and they give it readily when their wood is rubbed together in the ancient way. Cedar still stands alone at the top of the hill where he stopped, near the junction of the Grand Ronde and the Big Snake Rivers. He's very old, so old that his top is dead, but he still stands as a testament to the story's truth. The fact that the chase is a very long one is shown by the fact that there are no cedars within 100 miles upstream from him. The old people point him out to the children as they pass by. "See," they say, "here's old Cedar, standing in the very spot where he stopped chasing Beaver." I know that on chilly winter days, I'm grateful that Beaver stole this fire. I find this story very interesting because it included the pine, the cedar, and the birch, which are all trees that we've covered here before. I'm glad that birch and willow still share their fire with us, but next time I'm in the forest with Red, I'm going to have a little talk with him about the pine tree's stingy nature. It's important to share. He should know better. It's with respect and gratitude that I thank you for sharing my journey with me and sharing your time with me on this podcast. I wish you well and look forward to sharing another story with you next week. Go in peace, return in peace, and may you be well. The story Origin of Gnawing Beaver is based on two versions of the same myth reported by William Beanon in 1949 and Marius Barbeau in 1953. Our story, How the Beaver Stole Fire from the Pines, is based on an account in the Journal of American Folklore, published in 1890. For more great stories, you can go to YouTube and check out the Jaguar Bird channel. You will love it. He's got so much great stuff on there. So make sure you check that out, and make sure you check out our next episode next week, right here on Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and I'll talk to you next time. Music is provided by my dear friend Scott Brocklesby, and our podcast image was provided by Mark Lawton. We will see you next time. All right, that's it. How'd we do, Dawa? Awesome. Phones? Excellent. Then I'll share it.